Checking in with chapters or tracks 12 to 19 of the 10,000 Doors of January. This is the final check-in because that's it. That's the finish of the book. It's interesting as I got into the end of this book it's strangely detached for me. Or like January doesn't get to have... January is always separated from her father and her mother and her guardian / jailer Locke. Should be kind of, I think should be the most built up relationship, the one that she feels close to this old guy, to make it believable that she actually thinks this old guy might actually be a benefactor, a good guy for her, someone who loves her and is trying to protect her. Because she doesn't. The author doesn't build up that relationship, so I never felt like, oh, maybe Locke is a nice guy or anything like that. It's like always like, yep, villain, yep, using her, yep, controlling her, it's like, yep, collecting her. It's like never did I feel any connection. So there's no connection there. She has a love interest, January, of this Samuel, the kind of the servant boy, but she spends most of her time away from him. He does do a couple of things to help her, but again, she's kept separate from him, and we only get little bumps up against each other. So that relationship is also detached. Actually, the only relationship that maybe feels slightly better is the relationship between her and Jane, her nanny that her father gives her. That's maybe the closest relationship in the book. And spoiler alert, when she finally does get through a door and makes it to her mother, and then her father joins them, she's like, great, okay, I'm off. I can't stand to be around you guys. You guys are too intense for me. I need to leave. It's like, okay. So basically the main thing is like, of kind of, getting to know my family or anything like that, of any connection there. It's like, nope, we're just going to bounce off that again, and we're going to go off for adventures. And I'm going to pick up Samuel, who's been told to forget me, and we have a thing at the end where she seems to break through that, but then what's the last thing she does? Is she turns and she walks away from him. I mean, implication is they're going to hook up and then they're going to have adventures together, but it's like, oh, we're not going to really feel any of that, which is kind of a shame. But it's a book that seems to be a bit in love with adventure. It's in love with words. It's in love with revolution, with change, without actually wanting to kind of touch down and dwell and be in part of that. And there's just sort of the thing here of so Locke's whole thing is that he's come through to this world and he wants to preserve this world, basically as his own playground. He gets to have all the power here, but he also wants to protect it. And I keep on going back to that thing of Genghis Khan disappeared through a door, and when he came back, he had the power to conquer the world, which is like basically. So what you're saying is a guy who's is the equivalent of like Stalin, of Hitler, of his time, like murdered untold amounts of people, butchered, is a product of these doors. And you want to keep them open. I know it's supposed to be for grand, majestic thing, but it's like, you almost think that like there should be some sort of give and take here. Like it shouldn't just be all, let's throw open all the doors. It should be like, let's throw open some doors, but let's be thoughtful about it. It shouldn't be change for change's sake. In some ways, this makes it the thing that makes it the most YA novel as itself, because it's the total young thing of like revolution, where if you're an older person, you're like, God, you know, the curse of may you live in interesting times. It's like, no, I want to live in boring times and muddle through my life, but I don't want to be in constant revolution. I mean, I'm in the time where we are having possibly we are switching from a boring time when there's disease had been largely under control, you know, antibiotics, and, you know, vaccinations and stuff. And now we're at a time where, oh, good, that's all going to open up again. And we're going to have lots of change. We're going to have coronavirus every year. We're going to be like, you know, have to figure out a whole bunch of different ways as to learn how to live again, or to, unfortunately, change could also mean a shit ton of people dying. So I have a strangely ambivalent attitude towards January. Yeah. So an interesting book, not an emotionally engaging book. A book that I feels kind of a little bit masturbatory in its glorification of the word. You know, an author who talks about how writing is the most amazing thing ever, and it's just the greatest, highest achievement. It's like, yeah, okay. Pat yourself on the head a little bit harder. It's like, okay, that's fine. But yeah. So that's the 10,000 Doors of January. And I'll try and kind of circle back around to a thing of like maybe how this would be kind of a freeing, wonderful book for a young woman or a young person reading it, and how maybe I'm an old fogey. But we'll see. All right, more videos later.